They say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You're like a testament to that. So that's really cool.
I appreciate that.
My family, so my grandfather struggled with like alcohol substance abuse. But my father's 90. So my grandfather, Robert Ri'chard.
Wow.
He's a Frenchman and living in Louisiana in the 1930s.
Wow.
And so he struggled with alcoholism. So I think my dad was very much like, put that out there when I was young. Like, hey, I don't want you to be involved in like, drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff. So, I just try and make sure that even in my own journey that there's not another God that is owning me. I'm in Hollister right now with Cheree Ashley. I love that.
Hollister, California. How was the drive?
It's great. It's great. So I appreciate you sending Grandpa and Gramps to come pick me up.
Yes.
They were so kind and
Grammy
so sweet.
and Papa. They're like the mascots of BFR. Everybody, my team, staff, clients, everybody just loves and adores them. They're awesome.
They're lovely, lovely people. They're great.
Yeah.
She's like, do you want to ride in the front seat? I'm like, no, I'll sit in the back. Ladies in the front.
How funny that, we'll get into this a little bit too, how we both have been trying to do the 17-hour fast, and we'll get into all that fun stuff.
Yes,
but I love that Grammy thought that your hard-boiled eggs were stress balls. And then Papa's like, oh, you thought they were stress balls? I thought that those were golf balls. Okay, why would he have stress balls and golf balls with oranges?
And oranges and lemons.
I think there's something wrong here.
Lemons are my go-to. Lemons, I love lemons. But yeah, it'd be an odd combination.
It would be an odd combination. We'd really have to see if we needed a mental health evaluation or something.
There you go. Yes, lemons and golf balls.
Robert Ri'chard, thank you so much for coming out here. I appreciate it. And I am excited that you are episode 3 on Hope to Hustle.
Oh, I love that. It's great. 3's a great number too.
Yes,
Trifecta.
It is.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I've had the pleasure of getting to know you. Was it a couple months now?
Yeah.
Since I saw you at the Rock to Recovery event?
To Recovery, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm just impressed and very proud of you with all your accomplishments and everything that you do and the discipline that you have for yourself. And, I just kind of want to get into that a little bit. The whole purpose of this podcast is to share inspiration and hope for those that are listening who are coming from all sorts of walks of life.
Absolutely. Yeah. One, I want to give you your flowers because I am very, very impressed. And I'm glad that we've drawn closer together and talking about the things that are influencing us, how we're servicing the world and helping other people. I think the first thing I'm just going to get into is just God first. There's a lot of people out there listening. And, when you're trying to figure out how to navigate, whether it be your life or earth or wherever how you see it, I really think that leaning on God first is really important. The first 4 letters in the Bible is in the beginning, God. And I make sure that I think of that in everything that I do. The days, the things I'm trying to accomplish, my connection with my family and friends, and even people that, maybe you have a disadvantage or a conflict with, in the beginning, God. And then the second thing I think is that, people need work. When you're trying to design, what your aspirations are, I think people should be leaning into what are you wildly passionate about? What is something that gets you up in the morning enthusiastically? And then how do you build to make that a living for yourself?
Right.
And to find that passion in that work. And I've found personally that it's connecting with other people. I love people.
Me too.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. And we all need each other. So
yeah, I need people. Like I'm such an extrovert that if I am not talking to people, then I'm just like kind of going a little bit crazy. Yeah. I'm definitely a people person, and I agree with you. God first, my biggest thing is let go and let God. And through my struggles from, recovery and going through that process to now owning multiple businesses, there's a lot of hard, trying times that I want to give up or I'm becoming impatient. And it's let go and let God and pray and gratitude. That is huge for me because I believe in the saying of like, you have to love and believe and trust in God, not just when you need something, not to be going to him because everything's failing or crumbling and now you're in desperation mode. But it's waking up with gratitude every day and being thankful that he is guiding us through this walk of life. And to me, that's huge.
Absolutely. So I'm learning. Did you struggle with substance and stuff in your past?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
And like the catalyst for it, I mean, obviously, we're all kind of like kids at one point, and then you start evolving and becoming this independent person that becomes more of adult, and whether that's being rebellious or whatever. What was sort of like the beginning for you to sort of like slip into it?
Well, I would say that I've always been that down to do girl.
Got you.
Like, hey, let's go jump off a bridge in the lake.
A daredevil.
Yeah. Yes. I'm down. I always thought it was like cool. It's like, I don't want to say necessarily fitting in, but it's like, yeah, push me to a limit. I adrenaline
You're
junkie
fearless
too.
And brave.
Totally.
Right.
But having that personality also came with, well, here's cocaine. All right, yeah, I'll try it. Here's a pill. Okay, I'll try it.
Right.
And I also feel like the lack of knowledge. And you met my grandparents, right? They're great.
They're amazing.
My mom's amazing. My family is amazing. I don't come from a household of addiction at all. I come from a very faith-based family. I mean, we grew up, I went to private school my entire life. And, not my entire school years, but I switched over into middle school, and that was really difficult for me. Got bullied a lot, and so really try to fit in where I could. I was a cheerleader, and so I didn't really experiment with drugs through high school. I would say it was more after. And I went through a really difficult breakup, and I was working as a cocktail server, lots of alcohol around and partying. And that's when I first tried opiates.
Got you.
And that's where it quickly downhill spiraled. Luckily, my addiction lasted, about 3 years. But it went from taking 5 milligram Norcos to injecting heroin 13 times a day.
Wow.
And back then...
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was a scary place to be. There was a lot of shame and guilt that I had. I really, my family was not familiar with substance abuse or addiction, so it was easy for me to hide it from them at that time. And I was also smart and manipulative. So I was getting in trouble legally and hiding that from my family. And my younger brother was like, you guys... she's on drugs and nobody's seeing it. You have to do something about it. I mean, it got to a point where I was on probation, and those little travel bottles that you use, like shampoo?
Yeah, for sure. You get them at like Bed Bath & Beyond.
Exactly. Target, those little travel size.
Yeah, travel size.
I mean, I was so sick in my addiction, and I was doing everything that I could to keep that addiction going, that I was paying people $20 for their pee, putting it in that shampoo bottle, putting foil on top of it, and putting it, where I shouldn't be, to keep it warm, to pass my test at probation with 3 mirrors around me and my probation officer standing right in front of me. And I'd poke it and they would be like, what is this chick on? What is she doing? And we can tell something's up, but she's passing her test. It's not fake urine. It's temperature correct, and it's negative.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
like James Bond.
Crazy, right?
Right.
But I'm glad that back then drug charges were felonies, because I then got picked up. My mom is the one actually that called the police on me. And the last time I got arrested, I went to jail 5 days too long, but I went in a courtroom and I was facing 2 years in prison. I am not somebody that can go to prison, okay?
Right,
I cannot even handle 5 days in county jail.
It's fall fashion right now. I can't be doing that.
I can't do that. I'm
Can't wear orange every day.
You're trying to teach me how to warm up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to make it taste better? What?
Yeah.
This is not me. And so I had the opportunity to go to treatment, and I'm so thankful for that, because that accountability of having prison hanging over my head if I didn't, was very scary. So it kept me in treatment. I did 7 months in treatment. Quickly began working in the field, and here I am almost 12 years later. Been working in this field for little over 10 years.
Yeah.
Had my facility for 9, and it's just been a journey. I mean, it's crazy. I never thought that I would be here because of something that I struggled with that was life and death, you know? But I'm thankful, and I'm thankful that I'm able to share hope with other people, with families, with my clients, and meet other amazing people who have, you know, a lot of alignment with my thought process and my goals and hopes for other individuals.
I applaud you for sure. They say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You're like a testament to that. So that's really cool.
I appreciate that.
My family, so my grandfather struggled with like alcohol and substance abuse. But he's my father's 90. So my grandfather, Robert Ri'chard.
Wow.
He's a Frenchman and living in Louisiana in the 1930s.
Wow.
And so he struggled with alcoholism. So I think my dad was very much like, you know, put that out there when I was young. Like, hey, I don't want you to be involved in like, you know, drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I just try and make sure that even in my own journey that there's not another God that is owning me, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel, and that's important too. And you had, you know, and unfortunately having a grandparent who kind of struggled, but you had a parent, your dad, able to educate you a little bit on what you don't want, you know? So what you do with your career, I mean, tell me, how did you get into that?
It's such a funny thing. Like, I feel like I'm still not all the way in my business because of how I got into it. I don't know how to read or write. People like, they make fun of me for that, but I'm like, I've never read a script. I've never read a book in my life.
Wow.
And if I started reading right now, I'd fall asleep in this chair. I don't know what it is. It's narcolepsy or whatever it is. But I'm really good in like math and science.
Okay.
So I was studying to be an engineer. I was studying to be a mission specialist for NASA. I was always just kind of leaning towards what I was good at. And I ended up going to an acting school because I was trying to get out of a fight. I was outnumbered by 3 guys and ran to a random building. The building happened to be an acting school. The girls are cute, so you know. I stayed.
So you were stuck here.
I stayed. And then I was really didn't participate in class after I signed up because a lot of kids in the neighborhood kind of went to this school. And then someone challenged me. They said like, "Are you afraid of acting?" I'm like, if I start acting, I'll be the best actor in the world. And then within 2 years, I won an Emmy.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
How old were you?
I was 15 when I won the Emmy. I was
wow.
13 when I started acting.
What was your first Emmy for?
It was for a movie for Showtime. It was called In His Father's Shoes.
Okay.
And it's with Lou Gossett Jr. as an Academy Award-winning actor. And he played my dad. And we were nominated against each other. And I told my mom, I said, if I win, can I have a bottle of champagne? She's like, boy, you're not going to win. But fate had it where I got the W.
That's
and then
awesome.
I've been pretty much addicted to acting ever since.
That's amazing.
But I still see it like, so the thing I think is cool for, you know, on my side is I see it more like a sport. And I see it more like a math problem.
Okay. How so?
I have my own philosophy, I call it the Ri'chard method. And it's kind of very much like a scaffolding, pyramid-oriented sort of like mathematical philosophy of how I think acting should go. And I teach class and I use it all the time and it works out pretty well. And it's fun. It's good.
I love that. Now, with everything that is good and with success, there's also struggles.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest hurdle or struggle that you face and deal with being, you know, an actor and in a spotlight? I mean, I'm sure there's different tribulations there.
Yeah, I mean, one, I know that I'm codependent as hell. But I actually like being codependent. I'm just like, I don't want to go through life by myself.
Sure.
So, right.
And a healthy version of codependency.
Yeah, for sure. And then also I'm a little bit of a in-between kind of person because in my industry, they're like, you don't fit in the boxes. You're not black. I'm like, I'm black. They're like, no, you're not white either. And then I'm not old enough to be in certain parts, but I'm not a kid anymore.
Right.
Right. So I'm not. So I've always kind of been like in this in between category and missed a lot of roles that I know that I've been the best for because I don't fit in the box. So I'm just now trying to, make new boxes, I guess.
Right. I can imagine that would be hard, knowing that you would be a good fit for something and, you're capable, and having other people almost feels like maybe they're not believing you're capable of that part, so that's
a very popular movie that I did is called Coach Carter. Like everyone's watching. It's a cool sports tool. But when it got down to it, they were like, Rob's not invited to the last screen test to get the job. They're like, you're just not black enough.
Wow.
And they're like, Sam Jackson's playing the dad now, and you can't be his son. And so they had like 6 different people audition for the role, and I guess it had it where they didn't get the job. And then I had a chemistry read with Sam, and Sam Jackson's the one that hired me.
Wow.
So he's the best. He's hired.
Yeah. Well, and that's like going around, and that's a thing too. I could imagine it's like you're depending on one person to make that decision, when if it was like a group effort, I'm sure there would be many more open boxes for you and for many other people.
There's what's the show? The show is it's a Beverly Hills show. I can't think of the name right now. Anyway, the breakdown said a young Robert Ri'chard. I went out for the job, and they didn't hire me. They said, you're too old to play yourself. It was not Melrose Place. What's the other show? Not Melrose Place, but Beverly Hills
90210.
I think it's not Beverly Hills 90210. The New Year's. It's one of those shows that got redone.
Okay.
And I think of it, whatever. But I look younger than the guy who did.
And you're still so young, so how can you be too old for really
That's
any
exactly
part?
what I said. So that's what I've been dealing with my whole career. So.
And cousin Skeeter.
Yeah, it's
too.
great. Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah,
great show. Love
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I love that.
I
show.
love that. Yep, that's awesome. And this awesome, we have it up here, which I actually was able to watch, and I loved it.
Oh,
it was so good.
Thank you.
Is this one of those movies where you finally were old enough to do this movie?
I think I'm coming into my own now, where I've been around long enough that people know that I love what I do, and audiences respond well to it. And now I'm being the guy who's got the gun or get the girl or running or whatever. And I love that people are watching this movie and embracing it, and reaching out, being like, "That movie's awesome. You're great in it." Yeah,
it's really good. Very, very well done. I mean, and come on, all people, especially girls, they love this love triangle.
Oh yes, they sure
stuff.
do. Absolutely, yes.
Even though we hate it, and we're like,
yes.
Why do you have to play that part?
Yes,
It's such a bad part.
Yes,
but it's such a good movie, and how dare her? I
love it. We did good on this one. It's at over 65 million views now.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's pretty substantial.
Do you have anything new coming out?
Yeah, so this one came out right here, and then I have another one coming out called it's called RSVP. It's an incredible movie. It's coming out in November.
Okay.
And Thomas Walton is the director, and then Lux Angeles Studios is the producers, and they're really excited about it. It's going to be a Paramount BET release in November, and I'm very excited. The movie, it's kind of a little bit of a Kill Bill. It's an action movie.
Okay.
And then redemption, because I'm killing everyone who was involved in hurting my wife in the movie. But the movie's actually a metaphor for battling addiction.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, our director and the writer, Thomas Walton, who's been sober for 8 years. I think you met him with me. He was at the Rock and Recovery thing.
Was he there? I don't know if I met him.
I was with him, yeah.
Okay.
He wrote this story as a metaphor for...
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's cool, because he's able to use his personal journey through creating, and then using people such as yourself to be able to play these characters, and that's awesome. And
my character is a villain, but I think it's like having the relentless attitude of like, I'm gonna beat this. And then it's got cool fight sequences and action sequences, and it's really, really good. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. So how long does it typically take to film a film start to finish?
So we're making movies a little bit faster than we used to.
Okay.
To kind of put it in perspective, I think for Coach Carter, we shot for 90 days.
Oh, that's not that long.
90 production days is
like consistently
18 weeks. It's like 4.5 months.
Oh,
so we shot from like December to April, and now we're doing that same work in like 1 month. So like it's like 20 production days, 25 production days is pretty average right now.
Does that get exhausting?
It's just, you know what? It's a different type of output. Mm-hmm. When the more time you have, the more care you can put into everything.
Right.
But now things are kind of going faster because it's the economics of the business. Mm-hmm. So it requires everyone to kind of be more on their P's and Q's.
Where do you find your balance for yourself during these times? Is it fully commitment towards what you're doing, and then you kind of on off season?
There's no balance in my life when I'm on. A lot of my family comes from the military background, so I think I sort of have that mentality of.
I was going to say that explains your discipline. Then okay, then you need to give me a break with the 17-hour.
Yeah. So when I'm all the way in. Like when we shot this one, Vicious Affair. Mm-hmm. I asked my boss. I said, I have to work out 3 times a day. Can you book a hotel right by set so that I can just kind of stay in my same routine for the whole movie? Mm-hmm. And then the same thing for RSVP. We were in Colorado, and I was still swimming every day, doing my workouts every day. Part of it's building the character,
right?
But the days are 18 hours long.
So, yeah, I bet. Well, and it gives you some motivation. To make sure you stay on top of it, and you have your hard-boiled eggs and your oranges.
Yes, for sure. And my lemons. People know I love my lemons.
So what's with the lemons? Would you just have squeezed lemons, or you put it with water?
You can put them with water. I think lemons are the life hack.
Okay.
It's like curbs your appetite, keeps your skin good. It's good for your digestion. It's like a lot of things that lemons do. Lemons, and I think honey's up there too. Okay. So I definitely incorporate that into my alkaline-oriented diet.
That's good.
Yeah. So I probably start and end my day with lemons.
Very cool. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to work a lot. And then I'm a adrenaline junkie as well. Mm-hmm. So I like to motocross. I love boating and like going wakeboarding. I love snowboarding. Oh. I hear you like to snowboard.
I do like to snowboard. I've been snowboarding since, I started skiing when I was 3, and I think I jumped on a board when I was 8.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely, my grandparents they do live in Yosemite. They're kind of back and forth here in Yosemite. So we were raised in the mountains and snowboarding and skiing, and I love all that stuff. So fun.
I love it too. Yeah. I tried to do a backflip and I didn't land it and almost killed myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I almost broke my neck. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. I remember once I was racing my uncle down the hill, and I fell, and my board came up and knocked the wind out of myself. And he's looking back at me, and I'm like trying to call for help, and he's looking at me like, "Yeah, I beat you." And I'm like, "Dude, I couldn't even breathe, and you didn't even stop and help me." Oh yeah. I was like 14 years old, and my uncle's over here like in his 40s. I'm like, "Really, dude?"
I was on some tree runs, and not lost control, but I was heading for the tree, and I had to break the board. And so I like put my legs out and like tried to snap it because I didn't want to break my legs.
Yeah.
So but I love it though.
Yeah.
I've done Whistler and Tahoe, and then Mammoth is closer to Los Angeles.
Yeah, Tahoe's fun. Tahoe, they had snow for a long time this past season through the summer, I believe. Mm-hmm. And while we're in Hollister, so what is it that you want to experience in this cute little tiny nothing to do country town?
Let's go ATVing.
ATVing. Okay, I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure.
Hit the gym, ATV. I think we could even shoot some guns, some skeet too at the ranch.
Move up here and hang out with you all the time.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, fun. What advice do you have? Because I want to be able to really, give our listeners some inspiration, some hope, and I'm sure there's some that have some big goals and dreams, and maybe they are wanting to get into acting and hope that they are accidentally running into an acting school.
Love it.
But what type of advice do you have for those who want to accomplish those goals and dreams of theirs?
I think probably the biggest, we're in farm country up here, right? Mm-hmm. And I think
move to LA. No,
no, I think the biggest thing is actually to focus on the roots of what you want. You know, I think everyone's so pressed to try and get the fruits of their labor that they're not focusing on just growing down, right? And grow closer to God, go closer into your discipline, go closer into your faith and your family, and really, you know, in your investment, your skill set, grow down. And as you grow down, your tree of life grows stronger.
I love that.
It can weather any storm. It can weather cold fronts, you know, hot heats out of nowhere, fall. And with time, the strength of your roots will, you know, prove bountiful fruit and flowers that'll bloom at every season.
I love that.
So I think that, you know, everyone's kind of trying to grow up, you know, and they're comparing themselves to who's taller than them or who's more successful.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times people end up being a little bit too top heavy because they're so chasing toward the sky, comparing themselves to other. But you want to grow down, and that's how you really strengthen yourself.
You know, I really love that, because I feel in today's society we are having so much pressure when it comes to comparison and influence, and you know, there's social media now. I mean, I feel so bad for our kids.
I
mean, we didn't have that when we were younger. We were like, to send a word, it was like A, B, click the third time to get to the C, you know? And now it's just scrolling on social media, and it's like all these filters and all these models and all these edits that are out reality, you know? And these young girls who are still trying to grow up are comparing themselves, and young men too.
For sure.
And then they're not good enough. And I feel like that's something that we're dealing with in society, and it's hard, because it's like, how do you just say, like, don't go on social media? I mean, I'm guilty of it myself.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I love that advice to be rooted. I mean, that's huge, you know, and I believe that if you believe in what your purpose is, you will get there. I mean, I say that all the time with BFR. I mean, it's my facility was a little baby seed, you know, and I had the goal and dream of helping people. I was in school to be a surge tech. Yeah, because my mom works in the medical field.
I love the medical field.
And she was like, you know, it's secure. You can get a job anywhere. You'll always have a job. Responders. Absolutely. Right. Yes. You know, it's a lot of hard work. And I kept leaving school to do interventions. And my teacher, one day after school, he was like, I got to just ask you a question if you have a second. I'm like, sure. If you could do anything in life, what would it be? And I said, it would be to save people from addiction. And he's like, and if you don't mind me asking, why aren't you doing that? I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there's any job security in that, which is why I leave and I help people for free who are struggling, and help their families intervene and set some healthy boundaries and get them in treatment is the most satisfying thing that I could ever do. And just that conversation, I mean, I'm a little impulsive and I'm not patient.
That's good.
But I came home and I told my family, I'm not going to do school anymore. They're like, what? You have one more semester. You are going to finish school. I'm like, no, I'm going to open up a detox facility. Wow. And they're like, with what money? I'm like, me, myself, and I. Like, I will figure it out. And I couldn't get a loan. I had like $5,000 to my name. And one of my best friend's mom is in recovery, and the hardest thing was finding a place. Every time I would call to say like, oh, I want to rent your house for a recovery center, click, like nobody wanted anything to do with that. So she calls me and was like, how serious are you about doing this? And I'm like, very serious. So she's like, okay, well, there's this home and I'll rent it to you if you really want to do this. I said, absolutely. So I got the keys, had no money to get furniture, come home to my family, and I'm like, I have the keys and I need help. We got to figure this out. And they're like, oh, you're really doing this. So we asked for donations. We got furniture, and the entire facility was all done up on donations, every piece of it. And I had my first son at the time. He was 9 months, and Grammy, again, who you met, her and I sat at my mom's kitchen table, and we wrote every policy and procedure by hand. We did not have a consultant at the time that you can hire that does all that stuff for you. We did it. And, you know, I look back and I'm so thankful that we did it so organically because it was pure purpose and passion and heart. So great. And I lived there and my son took naps at the facility. I mean, some of my first clients just know my son is just this tiny baby that was napping in the other room while they're detoxing. Like crazy.
So tenacious. I love that.
Yeah. But, you know, I stuck with my purpose. And I didn't look at other people's success and say, oh, look at, they're so successful, I'm going to go try that. It was, this is what I want to do. I'm passionate about it and I'm not going to let this fail. And I still have that mentality. When I have a goal in mind, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make sure that it succeeds because I'm passionate about it.
Love that.
So being rooted and people sticking to that is very important. And I love that point that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions or anything? I mean, this has been an awesome conversation and I'm so thankful for our friendship and for you to come out here from Southern California. I appreciate it. I'm excited for the rest of our afternoon. Get a workout in, maybe do some ATVs.
I love it. Yeah. Like I said, I really admire you. And, you know, I love having these outlets to, you know, inspire people. And people can be struggling, and leaning on each other is important. The thing you were saying about even social media, you know, I started a separate social media page. It says less about me and more about we. So it's kind of pictures of me and my friends and things that I care about that maybe won't work so well in the celebrity, you know, vein, but it's still authentically me.
Yes.
And I remember I had the page picked up and this girl was flirting with me and she's like, let me get your Instagram. I'm like, oh, you can just get my phone number. She's like, no, I'll get your Instagram. So she looks at the page and she's like looking at the fact that I have no numbers. And she like handed me the phone back. Like, I don't want to date you. You don't have enough social media followers.
That's crazy.
So I was like, the fact that like young kids can be going through that, like, oh, you're not validated. And then obviously she reached back out and was like, you didn't tell me you were in movies.
You shouldn't have felt like you needed to.
I'm not trying to qualify, you know?
Right.
So that can happen. And I think that's a rough new thing that this generation is dealing with, is they're comparing like these random numbers that mean something arbitrary that can get them in the door or not in like social currency. It's better like, how rich are you socially?
Yeah. And that's so true. And it's, you know, one thing I did learn at a training I was at is that the endorphins that are released from a like, they become fixated. And I think we can all be guilty of it. We're lying if we say we are not looking at that, because that's false. It's like, well, not me, you know. But you know, you're looking at that and you catch yourself not paying attention to what is important because you're now on your phone and paying attention to your most recent post, and then you're looking at it and seeing like, did it get more likes? Was it shared? And it's like this thing that is, we never even went through this before. And I have to remind myself, just my phone in general, my work consists of the phone constantly. And it's putting that phone down with my kids.
Wow, yeah.
You know, Mom, I'm trying to show you something, but you have to put your phone down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the back of my kids are my 4-year-old's telling me, I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to wait till you put your phone down. I'm like, ooh, guilty.
For sure. Yeah. It's like, how many hours are we spending on our phone every single day?
Yeah, totally. I mean, and then these kids, it's almost instantly feeling insecure over stupid likes on social media.
But what I would say is a lot of times that can happen when you're not focused on what you should be doing.
Totally.
And focusing on your work. I mean, even some of my posts now, some of them are for like the masses, but some of them are for my customer. And my customer are these movie studios,
right?
The producers, the directors, the writers, that I want to be sending them a message, letting them know that like, I see you, I'm a person of service, I'm a person you can count on, I'm a hard worker,
right?
And like, if that, you know, some of my posts get 60,000 likes and get 600 likes, but those 600 are all studio executives,
right?
producers, writers, directors who call me after they like that post, being like, "Hey, I have a project for you." I'm like, "Okay, I'm on my business."
Yeah, it's a business venture, and for most, before I used to laugh at social media, and I'm like, "Oh, that's stupid," I'm like not into TikTok and all of that stuff. But and another reason for this podcast is a safe place for people to come that also own businesses who are going through things that they can't speak up on. That's one thing that I've learned in business is I will be going through really difficult times in the business, and whether it's my HR director or my attorney, and it's like, but don't defend yourself. You can't say a statement. You have to stay quiet. We have to figure out on the back end. Meanwhile, I'm taking a huge risk and chance that people are hearing their version of things and now judging me for it, or now my business is lacking when really we're doing good for others.
Correct.
And so I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to put myself out there a little bit more.
First Amendment, I'm all about it, and Second Amendment, both of them.
Yeah, and people can judge me for what they see and what they know, not from what they hear.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have any sort of social media presence, or I took my pictures off of my website because I also was so young when I started my company that at first I was like, oh, do a little bio on about the owner and message from the owner. And then people are like, she's how old? Forget about it. Go to the next website.
Yeah.
And so everyone would question, like, why your picture's nowhere? I'm like, because I was getting bullied about it. So I don't want anyone to know I'm the CEO or the founder. Just call me the director.
Yeah.
And I started changing my title for years until about maybe just a year ago. Like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
I am who I am. And if I can help somebody and they can appreciate the true love and passion that I'm going to give them from my heart, those are the people that I'm here for.
So what about, the fact that you're a family leader, like with your kids, like how will you help them, navigate that in the future? Like, what advice do you have for young people and kids who are ambitious and want to start something and they're young? What do you say to them?
Oh, I'm all for it. I mean, my son is 9. And he sits there and he's like, Mom, I am so torn. I don't know if I want to be an NFL player or if I want to be the CEO of Bright Future Recovery one day. I'm like, boy, do both.
Both, yeah.
Totally.
For sure.
There's no discouragement. I don't care what you want to be. You tell me and you stick with that. I don't care if you want to be an astronaut at 6 years old.
Right.
At that moment, that's what they want to be and that's where their mind is. Go for it.
I'm with that.
And so I'm in full support of my kids. And I did drug education years back. And I was at a really rough school, and unfortunate, just where they didn't have the best role models in their life. And one kid came up to me in the hallway and he was like, I don't really have an option. Like my family, he's basically told, you will be selling drugs on the streets. Like that's just what you're going to do. And he's like, but I don't want to do that, but I feel I can't disappoint my family. I'm like, well, if it was up to you, what would you want to do? He's like, I want to be a rapper. I'm like, okay, I dig it. Why do you want to be a rapper? He's like, because I can tell my story. I can tell my story through music. And I was like, I love that. And he's like, do you mind if I share something with you? I'm like, no, let's do it. So we're in a hallway and he's sitting there dropping the beats, and I loved it. I'm like, you do what you want to do. And I support it, and that's all that matters is that you believe in it, you do it.
I love that.
So for kids, I feel fulfill your goals and your dreams.
Yeah, I always tell kids like the tsunami effect, just like a tsunami just splashes everything. Just like whatever you want to do, let's go overboard.
Totally.
Just go all in.
Yeah.
Have you had your kids on your podcast yet?
No. Not yet.
Not yet.
My little ones are kind of like, not interested. My oldest is like, okay, Mom, I got to think about who I want to have a conversation with and what questions I want to ask. He is like my total mini. This kid is like goal driven. So we'll see who he decides and see if we can get them on. But
That's good. People can judge you from your appearance and also from your behavior. And I was asking you about Britney Spears. I'm like, here's this person that we've seen be this high performing megastar for decades, and with that comes a level of investment, discipline, the rehearsal to be able to do a show for 2.5 hours, all the dancing, and now we're seeing this person that I don't think it's the same person, right? And like, is that substance, is that mental, like from your professional standpoint, what's happened to Britney Spears that she's become? Well,
and that's hard for me to answer without knowing facts, and with all due respect to her, clearly there's something that's not, she's not in the happiest place. And for that, I feel really bad for her. What I will say is that with my experience in my field and working with some, you know, elite individuals with similar backgrounds, is it can take a toll on them, right? And it's not necessarily, I want to say, a spotlight of being an actor or a singer or living that lifestyle, you know, the Hollywood lifestyle. I think any just really high stress job, whether you're in Silicon Valley and you're working at Google or Facebook, they've never been on a TV screen.
It's still high pressure, though, you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, where if somebody is not taking care of their mental health and wellness, they're all capable. We are all capable of downhill spiraling. So I feel like it is really important, you know, and like even just talking with you, I mean, you have a very high functioning job. Like you're busy, you're on the go, you're working long hours, but you do you for yourself also, and you make sure you stay on top of that. No matter what set you're on, you're still like, okay, I need to make sure that there's a gym nearby, because that's what you're doing for yourself. And I feel like if you don't take care of yourself, it is really easy to go down another path. I think what's also scary and pressuring is false media out there, you know, and I could attest that I've dealt with that myself, where there's news and media of this, that, and the other, and the facts are completely wrong and false, and you have whoever is viewing that believing it.
Gotcha.
And so that's
the false narrative.
Totally. And so if you think about that and you're dealing with one thing and someone else is saying another, who's to say that that wouldn't take a mental toll on you and what, you know, you're dealing. So we don't know what she's personally dealing with in her life or others that are struggling. But I've also have had clients say, okay, well, I'm going to be on tour and my manager is like, okay, here's a pill bottle for sleep. And when you wake up, here's a pill bottle to pick you up.
Energy, yeah.
And here's a pill. And it's like, whoa. And they're so in the mix of everything that it's like, okay, well, my manager's saying I need to do this and I got to take this. And I just had a lengthy conversation with one of my good friends who's a singer yesterday, because we're trying to figure out what we can do to help adolescents and kids. And he's never tried, you know, he's never struggled or did anything with substance abuse and no drugs, because he was always so fearful of it, kind of like you know, your dad was telling you. Sure. And honestly, that's like unlikely. I feel like majority fall the other way, not staying strong mentally on track with what they're doing. It's easy to fall in a negative category.
I try to prepare myself for pressure. There's a cliche, pressure either busts pipes or makes diamonds. So I'm always trying to put extra pressure on me so that I'm used to it.
Does it ever get you down? Like any of the negative, like, or do you stay pretty strong through it?
Yeah, I stay pretty strong through it.
That's good. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I'm really working on that. That part's really challenging for me.
I think it's a lot to do with the physical discipline. You know, I wanted to change how my mind was, and I think it's been October 13th will be a decade. I have not missed one workout. Wow. Since October 13th. I do it every day.
That's amazing.
And this year I started doing 2 workouts a day this year, so that when when I want to cut it in half, I'm still back to the 1.
Sure.
So
okay.
That's why
that makes
I did
sense.
it. So that's why I did it. But I think that can sort of help with the mental strain, how you deal with anxiety, how you deal with stress, how you deal with pressure, and then you build from there.
I think I hate conflict, and I have an abundance of love for people. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yes, you do.
Literally. I love people so much. Like, you will catch me in this outfit, no problem, sitting with a homeless person who has a bottle full of urine next to him that just looks completely unapproachable. And I have sat with that individual so many times and took them coffee or breakfast and said, what's your story? Because I know they just want to talk to somebody.
You're an angel for that.
I love people. So when I'm getting negative, response. I'm like, why? I just like don't understand that. I don't have a bone like that in my body. So I really don't understand. I really have a hard time accepting that. And I need to learn to not care what people think. And I'm learning that as I go. But that's really still a challenge for me.
The homeless issue is a big issue right now.
It's huge.
It's accelerating too big time.
It's bad. I literally looked, I'm just going to read this since we're talking about it right now. And I'll be completely open and honest. I have a younger brother who is struggling with fentanyl and now ISO. And he's homeless in the Tenderloin. And I never thought I'd see the day that it would get to this point, especially when I have all the resources to get him the help that he needs and deserves. But when he told me that he upgraded his living to a hotel, I said, okay, can you let me know the name of the hotel in case something happens to you? I always like to know like where he's staying. So if I don't hear from him, I can, send somebody out to look for him, or I can call. So he tells me it's the Cova Hotel. So I look up Cova Hotel on Google and it says permanently closed. And I'm like, okay, so you see all the websites. It used to be a really nice hotel for guests staying in San Francisco who want a tour. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'll look up Cova Hotel homeless shelter. And everything else popped up. So then I come across this article and it says the company or individual, I don't know who it is, that's operating this Cova Hotel would get an additional $2.9 million in its limit to a total of $14.3 million annually. I couldn't even go to sleep after reading that last night. I was furious.
That someone's benefiting off.
Somebody is benefiting $14 million a year to house addicts. I could only imagine how many times a day they are going into those rooms and finding people overdosed with a needle in their arm. And I am terrified. Wow. My brother is going to be next. And then you have people such as myself and my amazing team that you just met out there who are fighting day and night to save people from addiction, not even making a fraction of that amount, right, and fighting for these individuals. And you're telling me they're converting all the hotels in San Francisco to house these homeless and these addicts? So guess what? My brother is not going to want help when he's comfortable. No addict wants help when they're comfortable and there's no consequences.
Correct.
I wouldn't have got help and I'd probably be dead today if I didn't get the help that I did. So yes, you brought it up, and that's a very sensitive subject for me, and I can talk for hours and days on this. And I really hope beyond this podcast, I could be taking this nationally with what we need to do to help people, not enable them, because there's loved ones out there who are terrified to bury their loved one. And I don't want to be the next one. I've already buried one brother. I don't want to do it again. But it's scary. Yeah. And California in general, I mean, it's really bad.
I thought about you today. When I got off the plane, I stopped to use the restroom before I got here, and I saw a homeless person on the ground. And I was thinking that I would bring it up to you because I do want to be a part of the solution to help solve this.
Yeah.
I realize that listening is a big part of it. But, coming from how I was raised as Ri'chard, I want to find what job can that person do, and then get that person a job, even a starter job, sweeping.
Yeah. 100. Well, and the thing is, some of them, some of them just need an opportunity. Maybe this individual, and I had talked with you a little bit about a sizzle that I had done, and I'm really working to get that picked up one day, because maybe this individual has had numerous interventions. Maybe their family has tried and finally said, we've done everything, which is kind of where I'm at right now. I've done everything and there's nothing more we can do. Who knows how long it's been since he's talked to a family member. And for all we know, deep down inside, he wants help, but now he has no family willing to help him, probably doesn't have insurance to get into a program, and is so deep involved that he's accepted this for his life. And what if we took the cameras and a crew who love him and say, hi, my name's Cheree, and I want to offer you the opportunity to get off that ground and get some help today. You don't need any resources. You don't need $1. We will get you some clothes. We will get you set up with a long-term program, 90 days plus. Is that something you're willing to try? I believe that majority of them will quickly say yes and at least give it a shot. And I know that to be factual because I have helped many homeless people in that situation to get my own statistics to know that some of them do want help. Not all of them. Not all of them. But because not all of them, that means we just give up on everyone. We can't do that. We have to keep trying. As long as there's breath, there's hope. And I hang on to that. So I don't lose hope no matter what situation. I believe it could be part of their journey as well as their story one day.
That's a good story for hope to hustle. You know, I do see like, you know, like shower, hot meal, haircut.
Yep.
You know, start them getting healthier,
right?
Walking or exercise.
Yep.
You know, getting their clothes.
Absolutely.
And then let's get to the hustle.
Yep.
Let's give them a job.
Exactly.
And then hopefully they can stay on the job. And that's the part I think that's can be hard when you see someone trying to get back on the wagon and then
But then they appreciate it. They appreciate what it's like to be able to go buy a cheeseburger from the dollar menu versus having a handout for it. Guaranteed. Just like if we go to school, we appreciate that diploma and that certificate a hell of a lot more than if somebody said, here you go, here's your bachelor's degree, versus the sleepless nights, staying up, studying.
earning it.
Totally. Turning down that party or this event so that you can study and you can pass. You will hold that up much higher. And it's the same thing with somebody who's facing death and looking at it right in the face, that there's no more bottom. I mean, you've already hit it. If there's anything further, it's 6 feet under. And if you can come out on top and you could overcome something that low, I mean, you're one hell of a person. You've already accomplished.
You did it.
Yeah. And I see people do it all the time. So we can't give up on those people, especially those ones.
Amen to that.
Yeah. But
Love that.
together we're going to do some good work and we're going to help some people.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, but Robert, thank you so much. And if people do want to find you or look and stay tuned for your new movie that's coming out in November, how do they find you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm out here. Everybody's come up to me, hugging me, and I'm hugging grandparents and kissing babies everywhere. So if you see me in the street, don't be afraid to come up to me. I'm the Robert Ri'chard on everything, and then usually I give my phone number out. It's 213-905-2404.
I love that.
So
thank you so much. I appreciate you.
God bless you.